Welcome to our research lab here at the Ohio Street building. My name is Patrick. I'm an engineer here at CSI and DROP, and I would like to show you our CS125 and 150 filter and softener valves. We're going to review the installation and service of these valves. The CS125 is a 2-inch tank base with 1¼ inch NPT inlet and outlet. The CS150 is a 4-inch tank base with a 1½ inch inlet and outlet. On the 125, the outlet is at the back, and there's an optional bypass module that can be installed on it. Both of them, you can use these available elbows that will allow you to change the direction of the inlet and outlet. So if you have a 150 and the inlet and outlet is not from the side, but rather from the back or the top, you can simply adapt them with those. Both of these valves are available with bypassing or non-bypassing pistons. For a single tank application, the bypassing piston is necessary so that surface water is available during regeneration. For a multi-tank application, you want to use non-bypassing pistons so that only the tanks that are in service are providing surface water. Both valves use the same 1-inch NPT drain line and 3/8 inch push connect brine line. So those parts are interchangeable between the valves. The CS150 is going to soon be available in a bottom of the tank oxidizing filter configuration we're calling the drop kick. The advantage it provides is that you can drain with gravity alone. There's no venturi or drive water for aerating the tank. Greater efficiency for both water and time. We're going to be doing a live event regarding the drop kick next month, so keep looking out for information about that. Next, let's talk about installing our CS150 valve. First thing you're going to do is prepare your tank, distributor, riser, and media just as you normally do. Then you can take the valve, thread it onto the tank. I've got a tank base here to stand in. Once the O-ring makes contact, you just need to hand tighten it, just another 1/8 of a turn or so. You can then rock the tank and center it and align it to the plumbing that you're going to be installing. You're going to thread the inlet and outlet connectors, which are annular O-ring seals. So they really only need to be made up finger tight, no tools required. Connect your inlet and outlet plumbing. If you are using a aerating filter or a softener configuration, instead of a plug in the brine line, there will be a 3/8 inch push connector. And to connect the brine line, you simply need to make sure that it inserts approximately 1 inch to make it past the O-ring, and it will be fully watertight. To remove, there is a locking ring. Remove the locking ring, depress the retainer collar, and the tube will come right out. The drain line for both valves is a 1-inch NPT connector. So you simply make that up. Again, it's an annular O-ring seal, so this only needs to be finger tight, no tools required. And at this point in time, the plumbing is complete, and we're going to connect the valve to our drop hub. Once the valve is installed, the next step is to add it to the drop hub. The drop hub is the master controller for any multi-device system, and they communicate with the valves wirelessly, so there are no wires necessary between the valves or between the valves and the master controller. So to start the setup, we're going to connect to the drop hub with the app, and it's going to ask me to pair with the hub, which proves that I have physical access to it for security. And it's going to tell me that the next step is to add devices. So I'm going to say go ahead and add devices. It's going to give me an overview of how to do it. And all it requires is to turn on the Add Device Components mode. The light on the drop hub turns white to indicate it is in pairing mode. And take the provided power supply with the valve, plug it in, and within a few seconds it is connected to the hub and ready to go. Once you have connected the valve to the hub, you want to visit the device in the app. So I'm going to choose the softener. you go to the advanced page and you can review all the step times to make sure that they're appropriate for the application. You can also adjust the brine refill time, which is going to set basically your salt dose. So if I choose a 4-minute or say a 5-minute refill time, we can see that the salt dose used per regen is now 45 pounds. For a commercial valve, you want to make sure that the valve type in the unit settings matches the valve type that's been installed, either CS125 or 150. The only difference it makes is that because of the plumbing differences and the size of the inlet and outlet, the meter profile is different for those two valves. Once the valve has been added to the drop hub, you're going to basically continue the installation just as you would for any normal typical softener or filter system. The advantage of using drop is that you can use the app to send the valve to a specific position to aid in the setup. So to begin, I'm going to start a regeneration, and the valve is going to move to the backwash position. Once the valve reaches the backwash position, you can open the inlet and start to flood the tank. At this point, what you do is going to be dependent on the type of media or the application that you're installing. Some medias need to soak, some do not, and you can use the app to select a next regeneration step. So if you need to, after backwashing, go immediately to rapid rinse, you can just tell the app that that's the position you want the valve to be in. So at this point, you'll continue with your typical startup procedure, such as drawing sanitizer from the brine tank and finish the forward rinse. Drop makes the installation easy because you can use the app to control the valve and send it to any position you need to during the installation. You also don't need to be up on a ladder or messing with wires and cables while you're doing it. Not only is the installation and configuration of the drop system simple, but service is simple as well. So I'd like to do a complete teardown of this valve just to show you how easy it is. The inlet and outlet are both quick connects to easily separate the valve from the plumbing. The drain line is also a quick connect. The meter is attached with an inline barrel connector that can be easily removed. Spin off the retaining nut, and the meter pops right out. The brine connection is held in place by a simple C connector, and an annular O-ring seals it in position. The injector and screen are easily removed as one unit for inspection, service, or replacement. The drain line flow control in the drain is an annular O-ring sealed module that can be easily removed and serviced. Moving to the front of the valve, the slide cover comes off very easily. It is a weather-resistant configuration. The remainder of the cover comes off with two clips. The circuit board can be freed from the back plate by simply disconnecting two wires. The motor plate comes off with the circuit board attached. It can be set aside. And from this point forward, the piston can be easily removed for inspection or replacement using only simple tools, such as your Phillips screwdriver. I'm going to save a little bit of time and use a drill driver. So having removed the piston, I can now service it or inspect it or replace it as necessary. And the seal and spacer stack can be removed as a single unit for inspection or replacement. And at this point, the valve is completely disassembled. So to put it back together, I'm going to start by noting that there's a flat spot on the seal and spacer stack that indexes on a ramp on the inside. The ramp is on the left side. I'm going to place the seal and spacer stack so that the detent is intentionally down, and then just simply rotate clockwise until it locks into place. And replace the piston and begin replacing the screws. After all the screws are started, I'm going to start walking around in a star pattern, evenly tightening. Once all the screws are installed, I'm going to use a hand driver just to confirm that each have been torqued down completely. And when I'm done with this, I'm going to inspect the back of the valve plate and simply ensure that there is no gap between the motor back plate and the valve body. To reassemble the motor plate, I'm going to insert the meter wire and the power wire through their respective holes. Simply align the plate, lock it into place. I can then reconnect the power and meter wires that I removed previously. And the circuit board snaps into place. Reapply the front housing and cover. And that completes the assembly of the front of the valve. So then we can move back to the back. I'm going to reinsert the drain line flow control and the drain line quick connect fitting. Reinsert the meter and its locking ring. Reconnect the meter to its barrel connector and secure it with a lock ring. Going to reinsert the injector into the housing and secure it with its clip. And replace the brine line secured with its clip. I'd like to demonstrate the drop triplex that we have set up here in our lab. We have 3 CS150 valves set up on these tanks. We can see that this unit with the green lights is in service. The other 2 units are in standby at the moment. The drop hub is coordinating all the movement between the valves and making sure that only one tank can be in regeneration at any given point in time. So if I begin a regeneration on this tank that's in service, what we're going to see is it will move to standby while this unit moves to service to take its place. The regeneration then begins and the hub is coordinating the entire thing. So if I start the regeneration, we see tank number 1 is moving into service. Once it reaches the service position, the tank that I told to regenerate is going to move to standby, and once it's in standby, the regeneration will begin.